Welcome to the Insurance Producers Podcast, where we bring you the top personalized producers, insurance agents, and industry partners, giving you at least 3 takeaways to 10x your production and build your multi-million-dollar revenue books. So sit back, relax, and become inspired by the success stories and strategies of the world's top insurance minds. Let's roll. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Insurance Producers Podcast. I'm your host, Cyrus Jaffery. It is a beautiful day in Omaha, Nebraska, right next to Missouri, where our good friend Austin. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, not too much, not too much. It is it's not as nice here. It's very humid, but it's
Okay,
still a beautiful day. Sun shining, so it's not
that's
bad.
right.
Uh,
That's right. I like it. I like it. I take this. It was 100 degrees a couple of days ago, and people were complaining. I'm like, man, like you're just complaining at like 30 degrees, like 2 months
ugh,
ago. Now you're complaining at
not,
100. You're gonna complain at 80 for
yep,
what you know.
yep. There's
Um,
always something, always
there's always
something.
something.
Yeah,
I'll take hot over cold all day. All day.
yeah, yeah, I probably would too.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
I
can
don't know,
golf and hot.
the humidity is
I
what's
know.
tough. When
I
you go
know.
walk outside and you feel sticky, that's what
Hmm.
I could skip. Arizona heat, that's a little different,
Yeah.
but yeah.
For sure. For sure. So, Austin, man, for people that don't know you, man, maybe kind of go back really quick. Give us a 30 second, 1 minute background of how you got into the insurance industry, what you focus on, and where you're at right now with the agency and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so how I got started, internship in college, was for a primarily life insurance company. Kind of got my foot in the door as far as insurance. I, like most people in the insurance world, I don't think I grew up and that was my dream job was to be an insurance agent. But that's just kind of how it ended up working out. So I started in the life insurance world, with the company, and enjoyed a lot of aspects of it, but didn't necessarily love it, or that maybe wasn't the best fit for me. Got connected to our mutual friend Jake, and he kind of convinced me or talked to me about his success or what he was seeing on the PNC side. Um, and so made the kind of transition from pretty much strictly life insurance to property and casualty, with a few captive carriers, and and then kind of rejoined. Jake and I split ways, and then I ended up coming back, and I'm with Warren and Mounts. So independent agency now. So do kind of all facets of insurance, but yeah, been doing it for about a decade now, I guess, in and out.
So you were at State Farm first
hmm State
with
Farm
Jake.
and then Farmers. Yeah.
State Farm Farmers, then went to an independent agency, and then now back over to a different independent agency in the same town and everything. Correct?
Yeah, pretty close. So, State Farm was in a small town, and then I went to work for Farmers. The Farmers agency actually was the same as my first independent. We
Mm.
transitioned from captive, so I didn't flip flop as much as it sounds like I did. But yeah, I went to State Farm, Farmers, and then that Farmers agency moved to a captive agency or to an independent. Um, and yeah, anyway, and then I
That's cool.
ended up here. So we kind of got a good feel for both sides of it.
For sure. So talk to me a little bit about the transition, man, that you had to go through from the captive channel to the independent channel. For a lot of people want to do it. People are on the
hmm
fence. People are doing it. And I know you guys had some success moving from a captive agency to an independent agency.
Yeah.
I guess if you had to pinpoint 2 or 3 things that you guys did that worked really well to get you guys to be successful right away, could you maybe share that?
Yeah, I think so. I think the biggest thing, and that this is kind of what I would talk to about what drives my personal success too, but it was all client relations, I think, is what helped get us started to begin with. So relationships I had at State Farm or at Farmers, those clients, if I call them, they're not going to hang up on me, right? They
Hmm.
still want and would like to work for me. And a big reason why I was so attracted to the independent side was because I felt like I was losing clients because of things that were out of my control, right? Rates are jumping up 40, 50, 60%. And clients are like, Austin, I like you, but I don't like you to pay,
Yeah.
an extra
Yeah.
50% a year, which is fair. And so, but I would say that's what got us kind of a quick start, was already having those relationships built. The knowledge as far as insurance is pretty standard, right? I mean, if you have a good understanding of insurance, whether you're captive or independent, you're going to be able to transition either way, right? But I would say relationships we have with the clients allowed us to get off to a fast start. There's always some challenges going in the dependent side, just differences, more places to quote, different rules, different underwriting. Um, but yeah, that would be the big key.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't really matter where you're at State Farm, Farmers, or where you're going. At the end of the day, I think the successful agents, man, they just know how to build those relationships. They understand
Mm-hmm.
that when this person thinks of insurance, he's going to call me, no matter where he's my client or he has whatever. I
Right.
think if you could do that as a producer, as an independent agent, or as an agent at State Farm, Farmers, whatever, I think they need to do it obviously at a higher level. I feel like when I was a State Farm agent, I had to build such a deeper relationship because I always had to sell $500 more.
Right.
I mean, somebody was cheaper than me all the time, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
sell myself so much more. Now on the independent channel, I mean, we got a lot better. Now we're kind of even in the market. So those relationships are going to help you no matter where you're at. So the best thing you could
Sure.
do every day, man, is it's not just another client. It's just not another premium or commission. You just got to how do you deepen those relationships? So tell me, man, like what are some things that you do potentially to keep those clients for 10 years? Like, are the conversations different from the beginning? Do you have like a process, or do you just reach out to them every quarter or something, seeing how things are going at renewal? Like, what are you doing to keep differentiating yourself and keep deepening that relationship?
Really good question. Right. And I think there's a balance, right? Because although I do feel like I have good relationships with them, that doesn't mean they want to talk to me monthly, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a fine balance. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say I would say um, communication, but making it impactful, but not overbearing, right? So little touch points, happy birthdays, holidays, all of that. But then, easy renewals. Most of the time, clients and I are texting, which is nice. So there's communication, but it's not overwhelming or like, Austin's calling me again. So I'd say that's a key point. But yeah, I think what I learned early on, and this is not something that I came up with by myself. This is me learning from others who have been doing it. But um, the biggest thing was having a consistent system, I guess, or consistent script, if you will, of what I'm going to say and how I'm going to go about it. But from the beginning, I guess I'd say I learned from my dad. He's been in sales for many, many, many years, but he's always been a relationship sales guy. Right? He's not gonna sell grandma a Ferrari when she came in looking for a minivan, right? And I think I learned from that a lot. But I think the biggest thing, I don't do anything special, but I think that clients can understand that I'm not gonna sell them crap if that's not what they need. So I build a level of trust there to begin with. And insurance a lot of times can be overwhelming for clients. It's not necessarily something fun that they want to talk about. And so when they find someone that they can trust and know that the recommendation or opinion I'm going to give them is something that's coming because I think that's the best option or best recommendation. It's easy for that relationship to stay strong when you don't need to talk to me all the time, but when you do, you're going to get something that you can run with and not have any doubts.
Yeah, I love that, man. And you seem like I know we have hung out a couple times, and I feel like I tell people all the time. I'm like, what? I mean, especially when you're in a small town, like everybody knows who you are.
For sure.
Like people know who you are. People talk about you, and what you present yourself from a professional standpoint. That goes a long way, man. And people are
Hmm.
like, "Oh, man," like for me, for example, okay, Cyrus is a good dude. He's married. He's got 2 or 3 kids. He's a good dad, from what it seems like, and
Hmm.
he's got a good reputation. And then when they're like, want to do business with you, then it automatically gives you an upper end over anybody else, right? Even though
Sure.
like they don't really know you too well, but they just have heard from people potentially maybe or things
Yep.
like that. So I tell agents all the time, I'm like, man, like your reputation matters. Like what you post on Facebook, what you say things, what you do or how you treat people. Cause and even we're a small town. We're in Omaha, man. We're 1 million people in Omaha probably and surrounding areas, but like one little thing, man, like you could just within like a week it comes back. Like people
For sure.
talk all the time. So it's extremely important, I feel like, if you're a professional, whether it's insurance or whatever, to have really good reputation because that definitely gives you the trust factor right away. And when you can obviously, when they build a relationship with you on the phone, even if you don't know them in that first 30 minutes or something, you're not BSing them. You're telling them the truth. You say, listen, we tell people all the time, we're like, dude, like you got to stay at State Farm, like right now. Like for you,
Mhm.
the best thing right now is to stay there
Yep.
or stay with American Family or Farmers or your ex independent agent. You should just stay there because today it makes sense for you.
Yep.
I feel like that builds us more trust than anything else. Cause then, but sometimes some of those people even call us when they went with like a Geico or somebody, but they call
Oh
us for
yeah.
questions. That's when I'm like, man, we got this person.
Yeah.
When the time comes back, they'll come to us and they'll be with us for a very long time because you are their insurance person.
For sure. For sure. That's huge. Um, there's been plenty of times that clients have left because maybe they get a cheaper quote with a Geico or whatever other carrier there is. And then 6 months later, they call me like, oh, I shouldn't have left. Yeah, it was $20 cheaper, but X, Y, and Z claims were frustrating. Billing was frustrating. No one could handle it. So, um, having that piece where you're not burning bridges is huge. Whether you're in Omaha with 1 million or a small town with, 8 to 10,000, people do talk and how you're treated and how you treat people. They remember that. I mean, even if it goes like, before I met you, I heard that your team had been with you. A lot of them have been with you from the transition from when you were at State Farm to the independent side.
Mhm.
And that told me a lot about you before I even met you. And so
Mhm.
obviously how you treated people was giving me a preconceived notion of what type of person you were. And so
Mhm.
it's not always what you're doing within the office or the day to day, but whether you're at the gas station, you hold the door open for someone or you don't. All of that is building kind of an understanding of who you are, whether you work with them or not. So I think you're spot on with all that.
Yeah, and it's funny because especially millennials and Gen Zs these days, man,
Yeah.
one of the first things they do is they search you. When
100%.
somebody refers you, they go and like they
Yep.
search. They say, okay, I got to go see what Austin is about. You know, they go to Facebook or Instagram or whatever. They search you. They find you on Google. They say, okay, Warren and Mounts Agency or Jaffery Insurance Agency. Look at your reviews. Look what people say about
Yeah.
you. Crazy as hell. It's in the last 5 years, I've seen that become a very, very, very big trend where a lot of people do their due diligence when you get referred and then they call you because, okay, you almost like passed the front gate
It
person.
is. Yeah.
And
They are the
now
gatekeeper.
you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it, if you're shopping for a car or you're shopping even for a bed, right? You don't go to just random car lots, right? You're going to search it
Mhm,
online. You're going to figure out if that's the one you want, if
mhm,
you like what you're seeing, and then you're going to go in person. And then you're going to take that next step.
mhm.
The same thing with any other kind of service
Yeah.
you're providing. Social media and your presence online is huge, and gatekeeper is a great way to think about it. I haven't thought about that before, but that's very, very true. What they see or what they read, um, and reviews are such a big deal nowadays. I feel like, yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, Yelp, Google reviews, it was not something that was consistently talked about or even thought of in the consumer's mind. But now that's almost always the first step they take. And if
Right.
you're getting trash talked online because of what you've done, it's going to be tough to get any kind of momentum going from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So, so you are obviously on the independent channel. You're with an agency, man, that's super young, driven, focused, man. You guys are knocking it out of the park, man. I'm so proud of you guys, and it's fun to be a part of that somehow. And you guys are knocking it out of the park. But tell me a little bit about the life insurance piece because you guys are do quite a bit of life insurance, and a lot of PNC shops they do a lot of PNC and you guys do a ton of PNC, but you guys do a ton of life insurance as well. So for people that run a PNC shop, what would you recommend to them? What are some ways that you guys turning those PNC? Because I'm assuming that's your strategy is get them in as a PNC because it's way easy, just like a State Farm model, and then sell them life insurance because we all know everybody needs it, right? Everybody thinks they don't need it, but everybody that's dead definitely wants to have life insurance. So yeah, tell me, man, what's that process like?
Yeah. So yeah, bread and butter is PNC, right? Home and auto insurance. Um, Everyone needs that. And so that is the kind of conversation or starter piece for it. But then it goes back to the trust and having that relationship built. So we start working together because they need home and auto insurance, build that relationship there. And then through that conversation, right, when I am presenting a quote for home and auto insurance, it's not just, hey, here's how much it is, take it or leave it, right? There's conversations going on through there. So I'm finding out, what golf course you're playing at, what your kids' names
Mm-hmm.
are, what ages they are. You know, a lot of times people are coming because they're just about to buy a house, right? So they need new insurance. So all of those are key trigger points or um, flags, things for me to pinpoint to bring up later in the conversation, right? And I don't like giving them too much. So I like to get everything done and wrapped up with their home and auto insurance, everything finalized. Um, get all the documents signed, everything is wrapped in a bow, nice and neat. And then typically it's anywhere from most of the time it's like 3 to 5 weeks after everything is done, that there'll be a touch point, whether it's reaching out to pivot to life or to ask for a referral or to mention Google reviews, something like that. But that relationship piece is already built. And so, like you said, almost everyone knows they need it or have thought like, oh, I should probably talk to someone, but a lot of times they don't have that relationship with that person to reach out to. And so then once you present it, you're like, yeah, you know what? I like Austin. He helped me out with my home insurance. And, yeah, I mean, let's have a conversation. And then my knowledge and background on the life insurance side, typically pairs well. And it's pretty easy to kind of make that transition. It doesn't feel gimmicky or that I'm trying to sell you something extra. It's yeah, Cyrus. We talked 2 weeks ago, and you were telling me that you got 3 young kids. That's awesome. I wanted to make sure I at least brought up life insurance to you, and then the conversation's open and we go from there. But it's not me forcing anything. It's because there's a relevant reason why I'm bringing it up, and then we've already got the relationship built because we started working on the home and auto insurance. So it's pretty easy that way. Keeps everything in house, and it also helps make sure that clients are staying around. Again, key is making sure that you're their go-to, right? It's not just home and auto insurance. Austin help you with life, with commercial, whatever that is, and being kind of a one stop shop for them.
So you don't bring up the life insurance piece in the first conversation when you're selling them home and auto.
I would not typically. I mean, if it gets brought up naturally, then I will, or maybe I will bring it up like a kind of a soft feel it out.
Mm,
But
okay.
it's very easy for clients, especially over the phone, to get off topic or get confused about what we're talking about. So I try to make sure that we're getting one thing accomplished at a time. Now, at the end of the first conversation, if we're done, then and life insurance was something that made sense, then yeah, we'll go right into it. That's not a problem. But if it's not something that was brought up naturally or makes sense to talk about at the time, and most of the time I try to schedule a different time because it can get a little confusing, especially over the phone. I'm looking at all the numbers, I'm looking at everything, but when a client's just listening in, um, I've had I've had that be more of an issue than success with it.
So a couple of weeks later, what's that process look like? You call them, you're like, hey, it's Austin again, just seeing if you got all your deck pages or
Yeah.
whatever ID cards, seeing how things are going, any lingering questions. Is that kind of how it goes? And then at that point, then you say, I know we talked about life insurance. Let's go through some options.
Yeah, yeah. Or a lot of times it's something that I'm ending with, I guess. So, Cyrus, I'm glad we got this taken care of. Here's X, Y, and Z, the next steps as far as getting your your documents signed, your ID cards sent out. Um, I know we briefly talked about life insurance. but let's do this. Let's find a time where you and your wife can hop on a call, take 20, 30 minutes, and we'll see if it even makes sense for you. So like I said, a lot of times
Mm,
it's not necessarily something I'm trying to spring on them out of the blue, because I do want it to be valuable. I don't want them to be doing 20 other things while they're trying to listen to me, right?
mm-hmm.
So I do try to set up calls. I found more success with that. Now, if they're a little hesitant or they don't want to set the call up, then I may try to have more of a conversation within that kind of follow up piece, because I do think that life insurance can be something that is not necessarily, oh yes, absolutely, I would love to talk about it. They can be a little hesitant
Mm-hmm.
about it, and so by bringing it up a little more casually or giving them some key pieces if they're hesitant, then that makes it a little easier to go to the next step or next conversation, whatever that is.
Dude, I like that you say see if it makes sense because a lot of people, I feel like you're going to get a lot of people on that other call, which is 2 weeks out, 1 week out, because everybody that doesn't know life insurance is like, yeah, he's a professional, been doing it for 10 years. I want to see if he tells me if it makes
Yeah,
sense. Because everybody's like, I don't, maybe it doesn't make sense and I don't have to pay extra money. And Austin will be able to tell me. And they already trust you because you took care of them on the
exactly.
property casualty side. So by no means you're a stranger. So, and by you not selling them at that spot kind of tells them that, hey, this guy's not pushy. This guy's not like the ex captive agent
Yeah.
that like you'd really need to buy this damn life
Yep.
insurance. It's not like that at all, man. It's like, hey, let's take a look. Let's just have a conversation. Let's go through numbers, see if it makes sense. Maybe for you, it doesn't make
Yep.
sense, for you to have life insurance, or maybe you need a different product or whatever. So I like that it's more like casual because I feel like you probably have a very high attendance rate on that call that you have with them scheduled because they're probably very interested, man, especially young people who are buying first time home buyers, second time home buyers. They probably are very interested in saying, hey, man, like, yeah, Austin, I want to see if it makes
Yeah. Well,
sense.
and by that, making that statement, it takes pressure off them, right? Because like you said, I don't have to buy it, and who knows, it may not even make sense. So maybe I don't have to do this. But more than likely,
Mm-hmm.
I already know that it does make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is
Mm-hmm.
a de-arming statement to them. It allows them to put their walls down. Oh, he's not going to try to upsell me on something I don't need. It's just a conversation. What can it hurt? I've been curious anyways, right? So there's a lot of different ways that makes them feel more comfortable in it. But like I said, I've already asked. I know that they just bought a new house. I mean, that's a huge ticket. I know that they've got kids, blah, blah, blah. So I already know that they need it. That's just a way to help them say yes to it, essentially.
Yeah, no, I really like that, man. That's a great way to get him on. So, and I know you talked a little bit about researching the client, man. So, I want to talk a little bit about that and maybe dig a little bit deeper into that because we do some of that. We could do a better job of that. We used to do a really good job of that at State Farm, but when we have 5, 6 clients that they're quoting per day, every one of my agents, they kind of get away from the fundamentals of what you just said. He's like, hey, researching the client, saying, okay, are they football guys? Do they like the Chiefs? Are they baseball? Do they have any kids? Do kids have stuff? Because the conversation, I'm talking about the first conversation you have with them. Your conversation is different based on what this person does. Because at the end of the day, the more the other person talks, the more trust you
For
build
sure.
and you have a higher conversion ratio. So the more you get them to talk about the things they like if somebody talked to me and they talk about business or my kids or football, like I'm all in,
Yep.
But if somebody talks to me about things I have no interest in, I'm just going to be
No, for
quiet and
sure.
it's going to be kind of awkward. So, tell me a little bit, man, because I think this will help a lot of producers that have a hard time maybe building that relationship. But man, I tell everybody on this podcast, guys, if you're not building the relationship, you are losing. You could be the best closer in the
Mhm.
world, but long term, you will lose. You could close hundreds of deals a month, but you're going to lose a lot of those people if you don't build relationships. And the way to build relationship is talk to people about things they like, not what you like. Get them to talk. So tell me a little bit, Austin. So what's that? Yeah, what are some things that you're doing pre-appointment or pre-call when you got the quotes done and you're like, all right, I'll call you today at 2 o'clock to go over these quotes, but I know you're calling them to obviously deepen those relationships. So what is some research that you're doing?
I would say I'm not as good as I used to be either, especially with the type of volume we have. But but with a small town, it's pretty easy. to know someone or have it connected to someone somehow. I would say Facebook's probably my go-to. It's a quick search and, hey, I saw you know XYZ or you went to college here. That is just a
Mhm. Dude, is that creepy when you bring is that because I've always thought of that. I'm like, "Did you just go research me? Like, what the hell is
so
wrong with you?" Have you ever heard that?
I would say that I don't use Facebook that often. Most of the time it's because, they got referred by someone that is,
Okay.
or I'll use something that is relevant. It's not, hey, I
Okay,
noticed
fair enough.
7 years ago you went to Hawaii. How was it? Like it's nothing like that. But a lot of times um, it's things that are brought up within the conversation, right? Most people are not
Got it.
super open and just want to talk in the beginning of a
Yeah.
conversation anyway. And so one thing I feel like I've prided myself on is being efficient within the call, but also, well, I guess being efficient, but in two fronts. So one, I'm feeling it out. I'm understanding and getting to know you a little bit while I'm going through my presentation. So it's not, hey, we're going to have a conversation about you playing golf, and then 10 minutes later, we're going to talk about insurance. I'm
Right.
staggering them between. So I'm talking about
Yeah.
golf and then I make it
Yeah.
relevant to what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
I typically get most of my information while I'm talking to them in the beginning or in the
Yeah.
middle portion of it. Um, every once in a while I will look them up, but yeah, I would probably get some creepy vibes too if someone said something about something I did or posted on Facebook 10 years ago. Um, the bigger clients, that's a little different, especially business owners. That I will look into more competition or what they're struggling with, areas that I might be able to bring value to.
Yeah.
A lot of commercial, we kind of work in the same industry types, so I can speak their language, or if they
Yeah.
need E&O, well, why do they need E&O? Hairstylist, whatever.
Uh-huh.
I can kind of
Yeah.
pinpoint or I guess target my conversation more geared towards what's going to be relevant for them. But yeah, as far as research beforehand, especially with the amount of volume we have, I don't think it'd be time used well. But my understanding and my research, I guess, would happen more within the conversation. So it's questions more so.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we just tell some of our guys to, man, do the research, but then like ask those kind of questions, because you already know they like football, you already know they like golf, you already know they have kids. Like, oh, do you have any kids? Oh, how old are they? And then like, or
There you
ask
go.
like whatever questions. Some people are like hunters, like
Yeah.
you hunt, like that's cool. Like I'm not but like I can ask those things. I'm like, hey, like do you fish? Do you hunt? Like, and then like, oh, I hunt. And like you got
Yes.
them. You already know the
Yes.
answer, but you're trying to
That's a much better
get
way to
them to
go about
answer.
it than, hey, I saw you went to
Yeah.
Montana 10 years
Yeah.
ago. And like, hey, if you're, yeah. So I like that. It gives you a leg up. It's going to be something they're going to be interested in. And like you
Yeah,
said, people want to talk about themselves.
absolutely.
That's what they enjoy. They love that. And
100%.
that, even if you don't say a thing other than just asking questions about what's relevant or what makes them happy, they're gonna be like, this Cyrus guy's awesome. We just talked about golf for 2 hours. It
Yeah.
was great. I
Yeah.
loved it.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. So what are you guys doing, man? Last couple questions before we get off. But what are you guys doing, man, in this tough market? What are some, because I know you guys are knocking out of the
Yeah.
park. What are some things you're doing that's working for you guys right now? Have you guys changed anything? You just kind of honing in and just you don't even think about it? Like what are you guys up to?
Yeah. I would say it's a pretty well machine now. So before I joined Jake and I talked when they first opened the doors here. Um, and I was doing really, really well where I was at, and just had a new baby. It just didn't make sense. I was happy. It was not a
Yeah.
good time. Um,
Yeah.
and but when I joined, I they had already built a great book. Jake had a great reputation coming from State Farm, especially within our community, and so
Right.
that was very, very helpful. Um, but it's funny because when Jake and I first started talking again before I joined, he was like, "Man, I'm worried we won't have enough leads for you, or I'm worried that I don't know." That's one thing he was concerned with.
Yeah.
but it has been nonstop. Honestly, I think there's maybe been 1 or 2
Yeah.
days since I've joined that things have been a little slow. But we have constant referrals, people reaching out, whether they're texting me directly, texting Jake, calling in the office. Um,
Yeah.
it it is honestly wild because, especially from where I came from previously, it was all lead based, right? So you buy leads, you call them because
Right.
someone clicked a Facebook ad, and that is tough because they're shopping price, right? That's all they're shopping. And
100%.
when you get someone on price, that's the reason they're going to leave you too, right? Because there is not a real relationship built. It's, hey, you saved me $20, but
100%.
oh, Austin can save me 30 now, so I'm gone.
Right.
But with this, it
Right.
is that relationship piece. And like you talked about, the one thing that was nice about working at Farm or State Farm was that there had to be something that was going to make you different than Joe down the road. And most of the time it wasn't price.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it was relationship, and it was that trust piece. So that is something that we all have in common that we had to become really good at to be successful at State Farm. So we take
Mhm.
that and we go to the independent side where we have 50 different options. Um, and it makes us easily referable. And I think that is such a huge thing because you can spend a ton of time, a ton of money on leads or asking for referrals or going to networking, and that's all great and that has its place for sure. But when you have passive referrals coming in and you're not doing anything,
Mhm.
it makes things a lot easier. And the other thing is that's a warm lead, right? Hey, you got to go talk to my guy Cyrus. He helped me out. I didn't think anyone could help me out. He did. He knows what he's talking about. Go talk to
Mhm.
him. And then they want to talk to you, right? They're like, my friend told
Correct.
me, I know you're going to do a great job. He trusts you. I trust you already, right? And so it makes
Mhm.
things a lot easier. I'm not going to lie. And we obviously we have that same expectation how we're going to treat new clients versus old ones. But yeah, it really is a well-oiled machine, and our clients trust us. They know we're going to take care of them, and that's
Yeah.
another thing is that makes it. People like to say, "Oh, you got to go talk to my guy. You got to talk to my attorney. You know,
Mhm.
go to this
Oh,
body
yeah.
shop. He'll take it.
Right.
Go talk to Jeff." You know, they love
Uh-huh.
that, and the same for me.
Right.
And so it's
Right.
making that easy for the client to make you that person.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. So, do you want to tell everybody about me giving you the opportunity to make $1 million real quick?
Yes, I do.
And what
Yeah, my
happened?
holdout. I mean, it rimmed out. It was so close. No, yeah, I should have warmed up. I probably should have warmed up. That was the first swing of the day. But yeah, Cyrus puts
Yeah.
on a fantastic golf tournament out in Omaha, and so the team went down, and it was a great day. We were the last. So Cyrus picked 20 people to hit to have a chance at $1 million hole in one shot. I think it was what 170, 165 out.
165. Yeah.
Um, and and it's funny because the first few names, I was like, gosh, I hope they don't call me. Like, oh man, I was kind of nervous. And then it got to like 18, 19. I'm like, no, there's no way. And then of course the last one was us called it, and so I got to
That's
hit it.
awesome.
But yeah, you know what? I made contact. It went straight. I didn't peek it. I didn't chunk it.
Yep.
I was I would have been
Yep.
happier, but I think I came up a little bit short. But it was a blast. It was fun. So,
That's cool. Well, I give you a
you
chance to be a
did. That's
millionaire,
all I can
man.
ask for.
So I did. I
Yeah,
did
for
my
sure.
job. So, dude, this was obviously a great
Yeah.
conversation, man. I want to. We ask one question from everybody, but first, man, I'm just curious. What is your definition of greatness?
I would say to be content but not satisfied.
Whew, deep. To
So be
be
happy where you're
content,
at,
but
but
not,
also to keep wanting for more.
dude. That's a good answer. And then last question. This is our last question every time. So this podcast, I'm a big win today
Okay.
kind of guy, man. I gotta find when I lay in bed, man. There's one or two things usually that I do during the day, and if I don't do those things, man, like I put my head on the pillow, and I'm like, man, that was not a good day. Beauty of me is, man, like I usually don't have two bad days. Like I can have a one bad day, it's okay. Two bad days are rare. It happens once in a while. You won't see me having three really, really bad days. Um, what would you say, one or two things that you do on a daily basis that makes your day one, or you consider it winning? And it could be, small as, hey, 5 a.m. workouts or something with the kids or seeing whatever. Professionally and personally, do you have one by chance that you do
I
on
don't
a
know if
daily
it's a set
basis?
thing. As far as work, it's activity. The production's tough, right? Because you could
Mm,
have you could crush it
yep.
and have great
Yep.
conversations, just not get the production.
Yep.
But am I doing activities that are
Yep.
going to lead to production? So I would say that would be it.
Beautiful.
And then as far as the kids, yeah, uh, it's screens down, getting off my phone. That's one thing that I think everyone struggles with nowadays. But after a long day, you go home, you just
Yep.
kind of want to sit down, right? And it's easy to pick up your phone or
Hmm.
get distracted. So phones down, and whether
Yeah.
it's playing Barbies with the girls or going on a walk, most of the time it's our walks that we tend to enjoy. Girls get to ride their bikes, and wife and I get to
Awesome.
talk. So I would say if I did something that uh, activity that was going to, that can lead to production,
Yeah.
and then if I go home and make dinner and we go on a walk, I'm a happy man.
That's cool, man. That's cool. We in our office we have it's called CTEs, call, text, emails, and everybody's required.
Yep,
It's 25 at a minimum. Like you don't do 25 CTEs a day. You can't control, but you can control effort.
100%.
That's pretty much the only thing you can control. In our business, you can't control premium, but you can control talking to 25 people. And if you could do that, man, you're going to be very, very good at what you do. But if you don't do that, and you're going to be shy of that in our office, at
Yep,
least, that ain't going to work. So I love that, man, because everyone in our office, that's kind of a requirement. So, dude, Austin,
yeah,
I appreciate you, brother, man. That was great for being on. Enjoy your kind of
a little bit.
vacation
Yeah,
tomorrow, man. Yep. And thanks for being on, and
awesome.
we'll
Appreciate
talk
it,
to you next
Cyrus.
time.